was ready.
And I was too.
I was ready. No, not August. All right, don't push it. I'm saying come September, you know, but now it's officially
it went from 85 to 65.
Right. Yes. And I was happy about that. I ain't gonna lie, because I was already ready for the transition. I was still holding off on the boots, the scarf, but this is my season, yo.
I know it is your season
to shine. I love a good fall. You like fall?
I love fall.
Look, you dress like you like
I'm all golden. I'm here for fall.
Yes, and the blue lip.
Yes, okay, yes. Let's transition our makeup, ladies.
Oh, somebody was just talking about the transition of the makeup. They said your bag. You got first of all, my brushes are not clean. I need to clean my brushes.
Your makeup brushes. Yeah.
I mean that shouldn't be seasonal.
That shouldn't be seasonal.
That shouldn't be seasonal. That should be all the time. I get it. You're right. But yes, it's time to transition. And I found a new red lip color. Just so y'all know. This is.
Do I need a red for the fall?
Yeah, there is. There's level to your red.
So I can't wear this.
It's a smidge bright, but I mean, we're at the beginning of fall.
I might need to evaluate my reds then.
I'm gonna give you a week with it, but you can always use a liner with a little chestnut, something, a little burgundy, a little, you know what I'm saying, something like that.
So what if I put the liner? Okay, put the liner
like a little night moth or something like that, to kind of darken.
That would darken it. Okay, I'll do that because I really like this. Is the Fenty.
That's a Fenty. Okay.
Uncensored.
Yes, Riri came through.
Yeah, I know.
This is it, and you know what the good thing about this particular one is that you know how some masks immediately when you put it on it's dry, so you can't do the. No.
She give you a minute.
It doesn't look dry.
No. Exactly.
That's a good red.
That's what I'm saying. So now if she tell me you only got a week with this, I'm already concerned.
No. You can keep your red. You just need to warm it up.
Okay. Cool. So yes. Well, thank you. So I'm Krishna.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Kristen.
And we're back with another episode. And so, yes, I'm excited about today's episode. Not as if we haven't talked about dating before, but
it's one of our favorite topics.
This is one of our favorite topics. Not as if I'm on the dating scene, actually. So,
I mean,
I'm not.
I'm not saying it, but you have been at some point in life.
How long ago was that?
I mean, it was a while, but still.
A whole 14 years ago, I was on the dating scene. And even 14 years ago,
I really not. Right, it's really got to go back.
Exactly. Right. Probably more like 16, 17.
Right.
I know, that's a long time. I've been out the game.
Since the 90s.
But I feel like the dating and the topic we're talking about, and it is called, Has Feminism Killed Traditional Dating? But this kind of touches way more than what we think. It's not just dating, not just feminism, but just all of it, that kind of falls within dating, relationships, just in general. Right. So I think how this came about is you, Kristen, saw Steve Harvey's post. I guess it
was an Ask Steve segment where I would say a young woman, but she wasn't young.
Maybe she was.
She wasn't. She had said that she hadn't been. She's been off the dating scene and she hasn't been dating for about 17 years, which allowed me to believe she wasn't young.
Maybe
that's fair.
Possibly a little older.
I'm just saying. And now that she's doing online dating, that it was recommended that she offers to pay half for the first date, and that men would not allow it or accept it, but they would be flattered that she offered. However, she was saying that in the few cases that she's tried it backfired and they expected her to pay half. And Steve pretty much gave his response because her question was at the end of the day, should you offer to pay for half?
Right. And that was, and so it kind of came up about just what's tradition and how now with online dating, which we discussed before, how has that changed the game, so to speak? And what did is it this? So because remember we had some people call in that night and they were talking about how it's not the same. It's more text. It's not a lot of can we meet up? It's no more social connection in that sense. It's more so. Everything is
interpersonal skills don't exist anymore.
They don't exist because I actually just saw somewhere someone was saying that after the 50th text, enough is enough. Enough with the text. Can you pick up the phone and call? So all of those things.
How well can you get to know somebody via text?
Now I love a good text message. Don't get me wrong, because sometimes you don't.
There's a time and a place.
But I feel like if you're getting to know someone, clearly you can't do that through text.
That's right.
Because I don't really know what you're talking about.
Because I need to hear how you say certain things. Is it, hey, what's up? How you doing today? Or is it, what's up? How you doing today? I need to know.
Yeah, you need to hear the levels
and where you fall and when you talk to me.
I mean, but you're on the dating scene.
Yeah. Has it changed? You're saying?
Yeah, like I mean, do you get? I mean, from your opinion,
yeah. Well,
do you think?
Yeah, this resonated with me because years ago, when I was dating men, and I identify as a feminist, still identify as a feminist, and so I could relate to the idea of the struggle. Meaning, there were certain things in my mind I felt like I don't need for you to do that. Right. You know what I mean? And so, but it didn't mean that like. Because what like Steve Harvey's point was, you know, a real man or a good man or whatever he said is going to do these things regardless. Like that's going to be like, you don't need to not do them because that's what they're going to do if they're a good man or whatever.
In preparation for it. That's the other thing. Because his thing was, if you are a man, you need to know whether this man can take care of family. You know, like all of these things.
So if I can't offer to pay for your meal,
then how can I care for you?
That's right. Kids? Right. And so
I mean, even before you get to the kids, how can he care for you?
Right. And so I remember feeling that struggle of like, you know, like I said, not needing the person to do those different things, but still wanting a certain level of chivalry, still wanting a certain level of like offering, you know what I mean? And then over time, it just sort of like it faded down a little bit. And I think his point too was that like there are these different articles sort of telling women what the rules are, or like how to be and all this other kind of stuff. And really what it boils down to is be yourself. But in being yourself, sort of you have your expectations, whatever that is. And so if you expect someone, because even now with women, I still sometimes will ask them, so do you open the door for people? Do you like, is that something that you do? Because there are still times where like it's nice to just have someone open the door for you. I also open the door for people too though. You know what I mean?
So that's what I'm saying. Does it go? But because I mean, I feel like, of course, again, being married for 14 years, it's like, you know, every so often, like my husband, like he'll go, you know, he'll open the door.
Do you like that?
I like it, but sometimes it's just like, okay, like, I mean, you know, I like it. I don't have a problem with it. I know people might think, why you don't?
Do you expect it?
I do.
I don't, it's not that I don't like it. When he doesn't, I'm like, oh, this is nice. You know what I'm saying? This is nice. You know, hey, we going out. But then there's days when we ain't really talking and it's like, get your own damn door. You know what I mean? Like, you have those moments, but it is nice. I would definitely admit that's nice. And I never forget, speaking of what you expect, I had told my husband years ago, I'm not really a flowers person, da-da-da-da-da. And I think I shared this story with y'all. And, you know, and I was like, you know, and that's another thing, ladies, you know, we say these things. I think it's also, it's like in your mind, you may not be this person or that person or flowers person. I don't like cars. But then when it don't happen, you're like, well
how come I ain't
like, how am I getting no flowers? Or you know, you see somebody else, they getting flowers at the job or whatever. But then you go,
Keisha husband got the memo.
But then you go to him and he was like, well, you told me you ain't like flowers and all that. I'm like, I mean, I did, but I was really trying to say. And so you got to be clear. But my point is,
I'm reading a comment from one of the viewers.
What they say?
It just made me think, because I was thinking, first of all, the way I was brought up with having my father in the household, even going back to opening the door, I'm the person that if I'm walking into the mall, I'll literally stand back and wait for you to open the door. Like there's certain expectations. I'm expecting you to pull my chair. I'm expecting you to close and open my car door. But the comment was, but if you're under the age of 30 and you've grown up in pretty much the years of social media and cell phones, the expectations have lowered.
That's probably true. But I will say
why though?
But I will say that I didn't grow up with a father in the house.
Neither did I.
And so to be honest, I didn't have those expectations of men of, you know, chivalry. And it was because I didn't have a clear example of what that looks like. Now, granted, I did have my grandparents, but after we moved out of my grandparents' house, that was probably the last of it. And then and that was much younger. So being older, I didn't see all of those examples. And a lot of things I got, like I knew growing in high school and stuff, it was a lot of girls I knew were able to get certain things from guys in it, and I didn't because my mother bought me. And I didn't need to go to a guy. I'm like, can you get me this? Can you get me that? Because my mother did all of that. So if you don't have expectations, so in your mind when you growing up, you're thinking like, I can do it for myself. If my mother can do it as a single mother, if she can do that, then I can do it for myself. I don't need a man to do these kind of things.
And I think that's where between that, because my dad died, so I had him there, but I didn't have the like visual like you had of like, oh, here's what men do, you know. But I just had the pictures and the stories. But I think that combined with like, and then the intellectual sort of political stance of like, I'm independent and I'm independent. You know what I mean? Like that really sort of clouded.
It did.
It clouded the expectation.
A level of both. I think it's because my father, I guess, had this idea of what men wanted. Like, so if a man is trying to buy you food and this, that, and the third, you know, be careful, be mindful of what, you know, the expectations are in return. So there were, if I was out, like even when my husband and I first met, it was, oh no, I got my head. I can do this. I can take care of this.
That's what you said.
I don't need to do these things. However, there were still certain, I guess, subconsciously expectations that I did have as far as like, I don't take the trash out. I'm not expecting.
Yeah, and those things I think I'm clear about.
Things because I saw him do it. He was in those routines, but even like being at going out to dinner with the family, I don't remember what the bill looked like because I never saw it. It was already taken care of. Like there were certain expectations in that sense.
Right. Now what is Karima saying?
I'm old school. I want and need a man to be a man. I do expect those things. It's hard to revise what my dad taught and stood for.
And that makes a difference.
Yeah. Like young people's standards are compromised, and it's sad to watch. And how you grew up makes a real difference because again, I'm thinking about, as you're saying that, I remember when as I got older and started dating my mom, I remember my ex-husband, who's my boyfriend at the time, gave me some money because I was in college and he left money, and I was like, oh my God, like it was $30.
Right, you're like,
but
whoa,
a poor college student, I was like, oh my God, he's leaving me money.
Right.
And I remember I said to my mom, I was like, I don't know what I'm so like, how do I? And she was like, if he wants to help you out and like take care of you, like let him do that.
Right.
But I didn't know how to receive that because I was like, what does this mean?
Right.
So that was my entry into like, let somebody take care of you.
And so then that kind of goes to, you know, let somebody take care of you, because then in the age of feminism and women trying to, you know, I want to be independent in this way, but then I want to be dependent on this. I think sometimes when you appear to be, or how you show up in the world as strong or got it together, you got a great job, especially if for some women who have already had children prior to getting married, or now you're on the dating scene and you've already, like, certain things you've already experienced. So coming into a relationship changes how your whole thing, because if you when you had to care for a kid on your own, no child support or whatever, you out here doing your thing, and then you come into a relationship, how you view things and what you need from that person is totally different. And if that person doesn't have kids, if that person didn't have that, and their expectations, or maybe they were raised by a man, maybe you were raised by a woman, like all of these things play into how you then view what that relationship or marriage or whatever case maybe is going to look like. And
but with that being said, and given the example, why do you think women are relying on articles to tell them how to be in relationship?
I mean, honestly,
how to date?
Can you really say? I mean, outside of being shown, because everything say you got to, if you've been shown, like this is what you saw in your house. Like Karima said, this is what I saw growing up. I can't remember having these kind of conversations. You know what I mean? But, like, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't remember having conversations of what the expectations are.
That's true.
And so if that wasn't,
not even with your friends.
No, I mean, no. Like, I think with my friends, it was more, girl, you know, we was just talking shit. Like, girl, you know, he better.
What was he wearing? What was he?
Right. We didn't. I don't think we talk about on the grand scheme. Like, he needs to do this for me. He needs, outside of, he better buy me this. He better have that. But what I'm saying is, how you show up in a relationship is pretty much what you've been taught or shown or whatever.
Absolutely.
But if you never had a conversation about what that really means, because I might can see my mother be single and living out, like doing all this, but if she never shared with me how hard it was, because in my eyes, I'm saying she never told me that we struggling. You may not know that.
That's true.
But remember, like you said, I think you made a point one time that about even with the bills, you were like, I never knew, like, once I got on my own, it was like, because it was always taken care of.
It was a reality check.
It was a reality check. So if nobody's ever had that conversation with you, this is what to expect, or this should be important, or, you know, whatever those, right? Because essentially when you're growing up, your parents' values are your values, and then you create your own values. So if you've never been told, what do you do once you get out there?
And then especially I think at this age, if you, like you said, if you've been married before, or like the woman out of the game for 17 years,
17,
everybody's around you is probably married or coupled, and so like
And so, and back to even the comment of if you are in your 30s, or even if you have been that woman out of the game for 17 years, dating is different.
Yeah,
so some
different.
people are looking for the manual of how that works, because
true.
if you grew up in an era where we did not text, because we had social events and I actually met a person face to face and had a conversation, and a gentleman bought me a drink and we, were normal people. And now I'm in the age of social media. Somebody needs to explain this to me.
Well, that's a good question. Do men actually buy women drinks anymore?
Yes. I get drinks all the time.
Hello, somebody.
All right.
That's true.
Good morning.
Right. Hello.
It happens. That's all I'm saying.
Because there was a period of time
where there was no drink buying.
There was no drink buying.
The people was like, no drink buying.
I mean,
there was no drink buying.
I want to see the bartender mix my drink.
Wait, we got a whole thing. Hold on, what's she saying?
Oh, she said she has the struggles of teaching her 20-year-old how to allow a man to be a man.
Mm-hmm. And then what did Sherry say?
I didn't have a father in my life coming up, and mom always said, don't let no man do too much, because there is and will be something expected in return.
But it depends on the upbringing.
You had to grow up.
That you
Again,
had.
so it's basically, it's like how people are
And
influencing.
what would their experience like with men?
Because of course your mother will tell you that if that's how that was her experience.
That's right.
And even from the father's perspective, my father was protective in the sense of, I ain't trying to hang out here running the streets, being all willy-nilly, getting pregnant and stupid, being crazy like that. So my expectations for you are these, and let me tell you how to go about them. But it was also to a point that once my sister and I did start dating, no, he not going to honk the horn and you go running outside.
Right.
He's going to bring his behind to the door. He's going to introduce himself to me and show that he has some type of level of respect for you. Right. Because if you're going to jump every time he tells for you to come and whistle, then what are the expectations? What are you allowing him to believe that you're going to do?
And that's why I'm saying, just think, you see how you were able to state that what your father said verbatim? Oh, yeah. That's my point. It's one thing to see what people do. That's one thing. But when someone can sit down and tell you, because you know the things I remember my grandmother said, don't let no boy come in your room because he don't need to know what's about. Like, don't sit on no grown man lap.
Definitely don't sit on no grown man lap.
You know what I mean? Like, it's certain things that you remember.
That's right.
Like, you remember the conversation. You was like, I was sitting, my grandmother said, I never forget when I told my grandmother these very words, I don't never want to get married. And she was like, wait a minute. But you just gonna be with just random people. I'm like, well, what? I mean, first of all, I was like 15. Like, I'm not planning on being with random people. But in my mind,
there was no conversation.
It wasn't like, what does this really mean? Yeah. But I'm just saying, you remember, kids remember, teenagers remember those conversations that
don't
you
get pregnant.
Right, don't get pregnant. It wasn't about.
Might as well been on the door as you walked out.
Girl, let me say something. But it wasn't about the value of you.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know what people tell their sons. But I feel like as a woman, as a young person, that's what we knew.
And that's what she said. I had to grow into understanding what it is I want and need.
And that's what I'm saying. So how do you, as an adult.
Reba said she thinks she was raised by your dad.
Oh, right. No, because let me tell you something.
He wasn't for no foolishness.
But the one thing and that's the thing about them being because I didn't have my father in the house, one thing I did learn from being around really good friends who had fathers in the home, that was a difference in their life. Yeah. Like, they had different expectations. And so a lot of that was just through learning and seeing how they moved through and who they ended up with, because now now I can understand why you feel the way you do because of what you grew up in. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that, my mother did the best she could. Right. But my point is that sometimes you only can do what you're capable of. Right. And so if you don't have a visual. You just was sent out in the world with just sometimes just not enough knowledge.
That's right. Limited information.
Yeah. And so you were limited by what they knew. But so now do you think that when we look at like feminism, and how people view feminism, and because the topic is feminism killed basically traditions as a whole. Do you think that
slightly modern view? In my mind, I think people kind of misunderstood or misunderstand what it is to be a feminist.
Absolutely.
And when I think of, because I consider myself a feminist, however, I also want my door open for me, and
so how do you define?
How do you?
So in my mind, it kind of reminds me, and don't laugh at me because I know y'all gonna make fun of me. So.
Of course we will.
But
that's what we do.
You know the song with Neo and Jamie Foxx, She Got Her Own.
Yeah.
It's kind of that concept.
I'm here for it because I love that song.
To match my fly. I want her to be able to take care of herself. I want to know that, God forbid, if something was to happen to me, I leave this earth today or tomorrow, she good, she's straight. However, knowing that she can stand her own, knowing that she good and she got it, makes me want to take care of her. Because I find that that's the part that I found attractive. That's the sexy part. The sexy part is knowing that you don't need me to take care of you, but you allow me to take care of you.
That's what's attractive.
That's the attractive part. And the attractive part for him, for the woman, is knowing that you know the difference. Knowing that I don't need anything from you, but I allow you to take care of me.
And so, and how do you, like that right there, I'm not gonna laugh at you. Good.
No, I'm not gonna laugh at you. That was a word.
Come through.
You know I'm here for a good word.
Yeah, come through 30.
And you came
come through 30
with a good word.
Come
Your
30
is looking good.
Come on, 88.
Sis. Yeah.
88.
30 and some change.
1 point for me. 1 point for me.
Just one.
All right.
And so that right there is a good word, because if you can't define, first of all, defining what it is you want. So you already identified, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what feminism and chivalry can look like together.
Yep.
Yeah.
That you can still come through. I can be all of that and then some.
Yep.
I can be that bitch, not a bitch, but that bitch.
Oh yeah, put that in front of it.
And still be okay with you taking care of me in that way. Now, the real question is, what does that mean to take care of? Because my issue with people is, sometimes with women, is that you got a whole list of things you want. That all lining up. And when I see you and your list of what you want this man to look like, or your partner look, it don't line up. Because the real question is, what are you doing to prepare for that to come?
That's right.
Because God forbid if something happened, and if he leave this earth, and you relied on him, that's all you got, because your last job was Popeyes. Now, again, I ain't got no issue with Popeyes.
I apologize to all the employees.
I don't have an issue with Popeyes. I don't. But what I'm saying, okay, Target, fine.
Thank you.
You want to rate it red?
Walmart.
And what is it?
Chick-fil-A. I mean,
beige,
but you got to
the khakis.
But
my point is that sometimes the list don't line up.
Right.
And it goes both ways.
That's right.
Men and women.
That's right.
The men want, she got to be fine. She got to be this. Flat stomach, big ass, like you got all of these, and you looking like big titties. Like, you got big titties, big fat ass. Like, you ain't like, you what you want.
You are your expectations.
You are your expectations. I'm just saying, it ain't lining up. Right. And I'm just saying, people are not coming to the table being realistic. Now, hey, I'm not saying we can't grow together.
Oh, yeah.
But where's the starting point?
That's it.
Now, if you tell me you in school trying to get your degree and I'm here for it. Or you tell me you got your business, you trying to get up.
Right, but let me see the business plan, because you can say I got a business.
What's the t-shirt?
But I need to see.
I can't embrace it. I can't embrace the evolution.
I need to see it. I need to see it, because a lot of people done said I'm starting a business. And it ain't got no
testing.
Where's that?
Where is the business?
Where's that?
But no, I'm just saying, like, again, I don't think that you can. I think you can have expectations, but I'm just saying you can't require somebody to do something. It's no different if you working in the office.
Right.
And if I'm the boss and you my admin person, I can't require you to make copies if I don't make copies. I'm just saying. You can't really lead unless you know how to follow.
If I'm the boss, I at least need to know how to make copies. So if you're not there,
make the copies, but I need to
know how.
But you need to know that I can. But if I'm saying you can have all the degrees you want, but if you're not clear about what the steps are and the levels of where these people are, then how can you effectively lead that person? And that's who I say to men. You can't lead unless you can follow. And so if you ain't got it lined up, you can't expect these women to be out here following you if you're not able to first follow and then you can lead. You see what I'm saying? It got to be some sense of humility. I'm just saying. The people have spoken.
Hear you.
Right.
But I think to Kristen's point, I think about, with how you were defining feminism as ultimately it's the equality piece.
Definitely.
Right. And it's about choice.
I mean, that's what Florida said.
And I think that's what we get.
Florida said it best. I mean, I don't normally go around quoting Florida.
That's true.
Because I normally
but you do go around. About to say, you do go around quoting good times.
Normally I don't. But go ahead.
But I think I think so. We have
That's good times, by the way, and nobody knows what she's talking about.
Only people think they know is damn, damn, damn. What else did she say?
Damn.
So one time when I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
So
Who was she married to at this time?
she's with James.
Okay.
Whoa.
This is before.
Cause I ain't like when she was.
No.
She was married to somebody else?
No, they didn't actually get married. They were going to get married, but it didn't went off.
Oh.
Everybody was like, wait a
Remember
minute.
Carl? Remember he had cancer?
See, I stopped watching
We
that.
stopped watching after that, but that's neither here nor there. The real thing is that what happened was it was when she wanted to be in this women's group. Basically, she was trying to find her own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, she's never worked, and
Just
James
holding
always
everybody
took it
back.
right, holding everybody. All right, let's not. This is a good time. We want to shine a light on.
Now
it.
we're gonna shine light.
And basically, he was saying, James, he go to the bar and all his friends saying, yeah, she just trying to leave your ass, basically. When she get a job, she ain't gonna need you no more. And so he got worked up. And when he come back home, she basically was saying that that's not what feminism is. Me trying to find my own thing is not me leaving you behind. I want us to walk side by side. That's the first thing and the last thing I've ever agreed with Florida Evans said. And the point is like what we were talking about with feminism. It's not about me moving ahead and leaving. It's not about.
It's actually not about.
It's not about.
People have made it.
People.
Okay, well,
That's what I'm saying.
what she about to say.
Yeah.
Made it that, but it's not about that.
Well, and that's where I was going, is that we've taken it and pulled it into a different direction.
Yes.
And somehow made it about us not needing women, not needing anything, and sort of being out on our own, when really that was never it.
Right.
That was never it. And we can get into the whole like white women, black women, all that. But at the end of the day, that's a whole other conversation. But at the end of the day, the original, first 3 waves of feminism was about having choices, and having options and being seen as equals,
right?
So that I don't have to just be home doing whatever.
Butt naked, pregnant, and
you know what I mean? I can make, and if I make more than you, it doesn't make you less of a man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And
that's what it. Can I ask you a question though?
Okay.
Because y'all giving this perspective, as it allows women to evolve, as I guess the generation our grandparents was in, the generation before that was probably a little bit different. Has the man's role evolved, or our role can evolve?
Oh no, I totally think it has, and I think it can. I think
because
that
a lot of times when y'all do what you said, the man is kind of confused as to, so do I stay the same? Am I supposed to be trying to do something different? And they get confused and think, okay, maybe she's trying to set up a play to lead.
Right. I think men have, and this is just my personal opinion, and I'm sure you will correct me if I'm wrong, have this misconception that to be a feminist and independent means that you cannot also be submissive. And that's not necessarily true. It is. I'm about to say, because one has absolutely nothing to do with with the other. I'm asking you as a feminist to see me and respect what I bring to the table and respect me and my values. That doesn't necessarily mean I can't submit to you. However, if you don't have a level of respect for me, I can't have a certain level of respect for you. Period. It doesn't exist. And if I don't respect you, I can't submit to you.
My only question as the attorney for the men.
Here we go. Kevin, Mr. Wildfire, I might need y'all to call in. I don't know if we want Diamond's opinions.
Here's the problem that could come up. Somebody has to have final say so, right?
Somebody? Okay.
Yeah, like at a job. There's somebody who's what I say is final. Otherwise, nothing would ever get, everything would just keep, you know what I mean? So
I disagree.
You see where the hand just went down and you said final? You lost me.
No,
I don't even hear you no more.
I'm trying to find a way to say it without sounding like.
You already sounded. Go ahead. We're listening. No, you're not sounding dumb. No, but I think you bring up a great point about just the evolution of. When I think of just couples in general, just the evolution when it comes to with men and women, and right now we talking about basically heterosexual relationships. But I think that sometimes when you already know that women progress most of the time faster. Listen to what I'm saying. So I can set my point up. That we progress faster, right? In a lot of ways. And so, exactly. And so a lot of times the evolution for women comes about, me wanting to be better, maybe it's getting another degree, maybe it's now I'm out more, trying to do this and trying to elevate myself in a way. But what happens is sometimes the elevation of a woman is almost disproportionate to the man, and so then it becomes that he's here and she's here. Whereas why can't it be whatever the role whatever the situation requires at that time?
That's right.
We're not that smart.
No, I understand, but listen. So what I'm saying to you is, you
ain't tell me to do. Why you ain't tell me? If you told me you needed that, I would have did it.
And
because we don't work like
I totally understand, but this is what I'm saying. This is where the progression can come. Right. Is when, first of all, you need a village, an effective village that can help you and guide you through these transitions. Because a lot of times what happens is, see, women, we spend time talking to our girlfriends, and they can tell you, girl, you know you ain't right. You need to let him know that the back and forth. Men, that's not the kind of conversations y'all have. If you had those kind of conversations about the elevation of you, and as I see my wife progressing, what is my role now? Who am I? And you afraid to, no, listen, no, I'm being honest. They don't. But that doesn't mean you can't have. But that's my point. That doesn't mean you can't. But that's the evolution.
That's the evolution. But see, this is why there is no evolution.
Even in the relationship, the same way you say.
My wife is
Even in the relationship, like you said, there has to be somebody that says, "I made the final decision." If you're in a partnership if you and a partner start a business and it's the two of you.
Well, he wants to speak about he's saying that the kid. He didn't go back about the kids. He's saying if the kids coming to you, and you and then your husband, they come to you, and who make the final say of what's what?
Let's go to your father, or you know what I mean? Like, it's where is the point?
But I think,
why can't y'all play off?
Right.
That's what I'm about to say, because my parents showed compromise.
That's right.
I'm saying even a private discussion. I ain't talking about in front of the kids.
Yeah.
Private discussion.
But see, again, here's where the evolution. If men actually paid more attention and communicated with their partner, then whoever that child goes to, that person, we already know we're on the same page. So whatever I say, if I say, we can go out for ice cream, then, and I go back and say, okay, I told someone we're going to buy ice cream, I already know it's okay for us to go out for ice cream because we've done our budget and we can afford it, or whatever. You know what I mean? So like, if you're paying attention and tuned into your partner, then it should be on the same page.
You always got that one parent that you gonna say, then it was for me, it was my fault. Daddy, can I go get some ice cream? What your mother say?
Right.
Yeah.
Then I gotta go be like, Mom, Daddy said I can get some ice cream. No, he didn't. Tell him come here. Let me talk to him about it.
And that's the thing. It's like and that's what I'm saying about the evolution. And that's the evolution of a relationship. Because at some point, I never forget, I was listening to this woman talk about her and her husband relationship, and she was basically saying there was times when she was making more money than him. Then there was times when she got laid off and then he was making more money than her. And just saying that how the adjustment in that, but it never changed who he was in the relationship. It never changed who she was in the relationship. And what I think
I knew it.
No, listen.
Because that's
they from Atlanta. Does that matter?
No.
But why Boston?
I'm about to say, wait.
No, but listen what I'm saying, Dom. The point is that what I'm saying is, what I think that where it goes wrong is when you can't have these honest we were just saying this in the car about honest conversation and being secure in a relationship. If I'm not secure in a relationship to know that there may be a time when if I'm making more, as the woman making more money than my husband, or at a time when it's the vice versa, I have to be secure enough to know that whatever the family goal is, that we can still accomplish it, no matter who's making what.
And that's why, so to Sherry's point, she said the term submit is based on biblical principle. A lot of men these days are in their rightful place for a woman to submit to.
Say that
and
word.
that's what we're talking about. You can't just submit to everybody. You can't. Because it goes back to
that was a high five for you, boo-boo.
I've heard every woman that I've ever met has said that.
It's true.
It is true.
What? Who? What?
Come on, push through.
Wait, is there?
I'm in enemy territory.
No, that's what it's all about.
I ain't never stopped you before, Diamond. Push through. Go on, say what you got to say.
Who gives y'all the submissive handbook guidelines? How the hell y'all supposed to know all the time?
What you mean?
Y'all don't know this man is worthy of submission, this one is not.
Oh, you want me to tell you how you
know? It's subjective though.
Yeah, okay.
It is.
Everybody has
Everybody is different, and each relationship is different.
That's right.
But the fact that it even has to be questioned can mean one or two things. Either A, you don't meet the qualifications for this woman to submit to you,
based on her standards,
or B, based on her standards, or B, y'all not equally yoked and should be in a relationship together anyway because this woman does not respect you.
Come on.
But then guess what? But that's why clearly it says in the Word of God, if we must go there.
Hello.
It says
Can we turn
love
to
and
our
respect,
Bibles,
right?
please?
Who is God requiring the love and who is requiring the respect? Men need respect, the women need the love. There's a reason for that. So the submission part is if you're not in tune with who you are first off as an individual, that's where the insecurity gonna start. Because if he's not clear about who he is, of course he's not gonna feel good about you making more money than him.
Of course, clear.
No.
But then if you start changing the mix, that person without like you said, communication, without the proper communication, then just like y'all get used to routine and any change.
I agree.
No, I totally agree. But
I agree.
I'm not saying it's just the men because there's no doubt in my mind that for women as well, when you see, I don't know, you know, been with somebody and you like. I never forget one time my husband he was all nice, looking all nice when they going. I'm like, oh, well, where are you going? And it's just like, and he looking at me like,
good, looking
right.
good.
And it's like, it's those kind of things that then makes him respond like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like those kind of things. When you see any little change in that person, you've been with that person all the time and now they getting brand new, you think, well, what, you ain't doing this for me? But did you ever think that this was about them and not you? About them feeling better about themselves when they go out today? But because we always think it's about us, it immediately goes into, well, why are you doing that? Who you doing this for? And why, the same thing when he tell you, why you gotta go get your nails done? Why you going to get your feet done? Why you going
because that
why does it have to do with anything else?
It taps into a level of insecurity.
Hello, somebody.
It taps into a level of insecurity.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes the evolution can't even begin because we so busy worried about what I ain't getting in this instead of figuring out where is this person at right now, mentally, physically, emotionally. It's a lot. We already know relationships are work. And on top of that, when you dealing with so many other things within
your
that person,
internal stuff,
right, your own stuff that you bring to the relationship.
But it's also absolutely nothing without trust. And even going back into the point of if he gets laid off and she makes more money, if I trust this man and I love this man and I respect the vision that me and this man set out for ourselves, and I trust that he has my best interests at heart and that he's going to protect and love me through all of that with the money or without the money, then we can go on about the mission. It makes a difference. But if I'm worried about, oh my gosh, he may be insecure, his ego, what he doing all day while no, then you can't look what this. There's no trust in that relationship. There's no foundation.
Right.
So I was just saying that to my clients the other day. They were talking about, you know, one person was needed to go on a particular journey to, you know, work on herself and really wanted to get herself together. The other person was like, I want you to go on that journey. I want you to get yourself together. But then at the same time, they were like, but that's a setup. And I was like, well, what's a setup? And I was like, where's the setup? We was with you
until you said it was a setup.
Right. And the whole thing was around, well, if you go off and do these things, like if we stop living together, you go off and do these things, even though both of us are saying we're in this, we know we want to be together, our goal is to be together, but we're both like, but it's a setup. And I was like, so ultimately is y'all don't trust that each other is going to be there and have each other. Just be there with each other. And I was like, it really comes down to trust. Because if I'm saying you're my person and I want to spend the rest of my life with you and I want you to be happy and fulfilled and go on this journey, then I'm going to be here. And you need to trust that I'm going to be here.
So, could we say that feminism killing traditions is really about the lack of trust in men and women? Just a thought.
It is a thought. And I think, I
only say that, I'm not saying like just that. But if you think about how society is set up, the gender roles that we have, that plays into.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say.
Feminism killing tradition is what again?
No, I said, could that be the lack of trust? Because remember, when men hear feminism, they immediately go to man bashing. When the traditions of why you can't do how we used to do, it immediately is now you don't agree with me being who I am. So it's like this debate of or argument of or not the lack of trust of. Why can't that just be a progression? The traditions don't. Why can't we make our own traditions?
But
why can't we? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's deeper,
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I think it's deeper than trust, and I think it actually goes back to part of what Diamond was saying, in that I think it's really about the gender construction that we have, and I think that's where we get messed up. And so, trust is embedded in there from an individual standpoint. Because if you haven't, like you said, if you haven't done your own work, and if you don't know who you are and what you want, what your expectations are, but I think we're so stuck on gender roles that basically, so like again, like, well, how can men evolve if you're doing if we have a certain construct of what it means to be a man, and then men are constantly trying to just stay within that little box. Like I just saw on TV today that I think someone had posted a picture of a man who was carrying his baby in the born, and the dude was saying how he was emasculating all men by carrying, and like a bunch of men started posting pictures of them carrying their babies.
I think
it's like if we have,
right.
and it's
that is so
like a man
attractive.
carrying their child. Like
Right.
what is emasculating about that?
With him? Okay.
But again, it's about if we have a construct of what it means to be a man.
Okay.
Not your skin.
Isn't that what it is?
Skin to skin time.
I don't have no kids. What is that called?
Yeah, when you get
when it's skin to skin. I mean,
So we don't want men to bond with their
Right.
So, but we have this box of what it means to be a man,
Right.
and what it means to be a woman. And if we start to do things that, well, that doesn't look like it fits within this particular thing, that's where we end up, right? And so what feminism did was feminism took away the box for women, and men were like, oh my God, so now what does that mean?
And where does that leave me?
And where does that leave me? Because I'm in this box and I'm trying to operate within this box,
right?
And
there's no maleism.
There's no maleism, right?
Because it's already set up.
Because it's set up. So I'm supposed to, like, everything is supposed to flow this way, and now you're going this way.
Right. And it looks like you
and
leaving
so it
me,
looks like you
and
leaving.
you don't need me.
Yeah.
Hello, somebody.
So feminism didn't kill traditions. It seemed like a lack of communication did that.
And I think the evolution.
Yeah.
If we're not evolving
Right.
as a people,
right?
Because then how are we?
We just literally had this conversation too, just a little while ago. Is all the titles?
That's
we have
right.
all these titles and all these labels, but the lack of communication. Why that title?
Right.
Why this label? What made you want to change and have this be what represents you?
Yeah.
And how you put yourself out there and present yourself to the world.
Right.
So mainly, it's pretty much that's it. Just that lack of communication.
Right. And you're right. I
And
think
having
the
the hard
construct
conversations.
and that is. I mean, it is the challenge is that it is the idea of what a man is supposed to be, the idea of what a woman's supposed to be, and whenever you. Hence the reason why my grandma was like, "Oh my goodness, you don't want to get married?"
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, single, out, just living your life, and then wait a minute, like those just weren't the way to go. Like,
That's right.
you get married, you have
That's
kids,
right.
and
that was the box that you were supposed to be
It's the
in.
reason why that's the first thing somebody, as soon as you get married, the first thing somebody asks you. Or if you are a woman, why don't you want to be a mother?
Right.
Or like these things that are
People get insulted when I tell like, you don't want to have no kids. No.
Like, no. Right.
They're like,
or if the man
What does that mean?
if the man is staying home.
I know.
If he's staying home with the kids and
right.
the woman is working and what makes sense for your family.
Or like if a man gets custody of
that's
the
a
children,
whole-
it's like, well, what's wrong with her?
Yeah, what's she doing?
Right.
You don't want your kids? Well, wait, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because there
I
could
wasn't
be
in a
a
position
time.
to care for them.
Yeah, and
Right.
maybe he just doesn't.
they don't wanna
Maybe he's
hear that.
better
Right.
at parenting.
You not being a good mother? Oh no.
Right. Like all women are supposed to automatically know how to be great mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And men are just supposed to like fall
Just
in
show
line.
up.
Just
Mhm.
show
Right.
up. Yeah.
And pay bills.
When
Yeah.
like they actually might be better at it.
Right. Right.
And that's
But,
okay.
So why is it that we can't? Because it's still hard. Because I was even saying that even like to kind of shift a little bit, but still stay here. When that was one of the arguments people were making about Hillary Clinton and when a lot of white women voted for Donald Trump. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because then this whole idea of women can't, are you okay with a woman being in charge? Like sometimes it's still a struggle with, even though you will go against your own values and the things that you want and believe in your own interests because you're not even comfortable with a woman being in power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like even there where people don't even admit that.
That's right.
I got a real issue with, I like traditions. Like I'm a feminist. Like I want to be for women's rights, but I really don't really feel that comfortable because a lot of women benefit from white men being in power. So you go against your own female interests.
That's true.
Because you're more comfortable with the patriarchy, white patriarchy.
Yeah, to me, that's just colluding with the system.
You're colluding
with the system.
Yeah.
Because we get so caught up in how, like, people are supposed to be treated and just protecting, right? Like, keeping those systems in place because we benefit from them in some way.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to just seeing, like, the real of it.
Right.
Yeah, I can't. That whole, like, particularly the political piece.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you vote against your own
It makes
interests?
no sense. Right. It makes no sense to me.
Your own interests, your child's interests.
Right. And so then what do you do? Like, how do we then, like Karima was saying, for her 20-year-old, I have a 21-year-old, like, what do we teach young people, not just women, because that's all we always say. We got to educate the women. We got to let them know they got to do
we
this.
really need to educate the men because
how
clearly they're having a hard time evolving.
Diamond? Like, how do we? What can we? What you
how
think
can we
you
help?
can,
How can y'all evolve?
The men.
What y'all
evolve,
need?
These young men
instantly made me nervous.
You got.
You say young men.
Well, I mean, like, because one of the things we always talk about is training, like getting the women, getting the girl, let them know they can't do this, they can't.
The biggest problem, and I didn't exactly say it, I know some guys will be mad at me if I don't say it. The biggest problem with what you're talking about in our eyes is how that changes our role and whether you are trying to replace us. You know what I'm saying? And so the insecurity part does play a factor because it makes us feel not needed. And then what we do is start looking for other people that need us.
Yeah.
Because we feel like
I got it.
You feel like you when we hear the independent woman thing, automatically it turns us off because we feel like this woman doesn't need us.
Right.
We like to be needed.
Right. But so here's the question though.
And if you can do it all, what do you need me for?
But here's the question. How do we get men to understand how to have the conversation around, so how do I fit? Like, to have the conversation, to not just take it and, like you said, and start looking for, well, who needs me? But to say, you know what, we really work well together, but I see you got it in this area. But how do you start to get men to look at themselves and say, well, if she got it in this area, I'm going to get it in this area. And then now we working together.
Why can't we,
like, you know what I'm saying?
unit?
Because that's really a lot of times that's what we're saying. You know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe she has more education. Maybe she makes more.
It would be better for, not for me, well, probably for everybody. I think for all of us. If you probably, as the woman, thought about it first and presented it to us, like, you already know our shortcomings. So if you presented it to us like saying, okay, this is our strong point, this is your strong point, you do this, I do this, and you kind of hold our hand through it, then we'll get it. But if you leave us to our own devices, we won't think the worst automatically.
No, you're right.
No,
that's how my ex-husband was.
That's
exactly how my ex-husband was.
No, I can understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Because otherwise, we ain't going to figure it out.
Right.
But do you think, because I often
Really are.
Yeah, I get it.
Really are. No,
I get it.
it's
I
true.
often wonder,
It's so
is
true.
it more of that, or is it because I'm asking you to kind of respect that I can take care of these things, that you feel like now you're going to back away because I'm requiring more work of you? Because I don't need you to just show up and pay the bill. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you to just lift the couch.
So you saying if I need
because
you
I'm
to
asking you to
stretch a different way.
I'm asking you to stretch a different way.
Yeah.
I'm saying I need you to be there emotionally. I need you to communicate with me. I need you to hold my hand and be present. I don't need you to just write the check. So what is the insecurity? Is the insecurity for
I don't know how.
I feel like a lot of it is that.
I don't know
is
how.
that I'm asking you to do something that
That's
your
right.
granddaddy didn't do.
That's
Because your
absolutely.
granddaddy could go to work for
That's
several
right.
hours a day, come
That's
home,
right.
pay the check, and then hang out in the bar.
That's
and didn't
right.
have to clean the house. I'm saying,
right.
no, I'm going to clean the kitchen, you clean the bathroom.
Yep.
Right.
I'm going to say, no, let's sit
that's
down
a
and have
good
a
point.
conversation about the bills. Don't
Yeah.
just write me the check. Let me tell you why it went up this month.
Yeah.
Like, is that the problem? Because I feel like it's a lot less of that.
Some men don't want it that deep, but on the surface, what you said is right.
Yep.
A lot of that tradition.
It's the stretching.
But then again, it's just like the balance between tradition and modern. We feel like y'all want only the benefits. So you want the benefits of grandma's tradition mixed with, when it's convenient, you want to be modern. So we feel like make up your mind. Like, so you like, oh, can't do that. Oh, trash. Ooh, snow.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Oil. Ooh,
Who shovels snow?
What you say?
Ooh, can't do
And that's
that.
what it's
But
not.
open the door for me.
And that's the
It's
problem.
Interesting.
It's a combination. It's a combination.
Y'all want in our minds.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, okay, Nikki. Okay.
Yes.
Let the blonde bombshell
come
interject.
through, blonde. Come through.
It's not all or nothing.
But that's
It's
what
not
we think.
y'all have to be. Oh, we have to be all this one way.
Right.
Men have to be all this one way.
Right.
It's a combination, and that's why it
Combination,
works. It's a
combination.
habit. We're
Not the rhyming.
pieces. We're supposed to fit together. We're not supposed to be like smooth pieces. Smooth
Right.
pieces.
It ain't all, and it's not always
like
going.
that.
Right.
Y'all
It is you
No,
not wanting
it's
to
not.
do
They're
the work
primitive.
because you expect the
They're
woman to be
primitive.
complex in the sense where we can be, you know, your freak in the bed, we can be
Yeah.
lady, we can be the
Right.
church mom
That's
and
right.
everything
You gotta have it
else.
all.
We
That's
can be
right.
a million things. We can watch the football game with you, but we can also cook your food. Like we supposed to wear all these hats, but you just supposed to show up,
No.
And pay the bills.
pay the
That's
bills.
not true.
No,
Here's
that's what you're saying though.
No, that's what I'm saying.
is-
That's what
Y'all
you said,
have-
though.
Y'all have 5 things that are
That we do.
that's off the table.
Oh, what's that?
Trash,
I'm not doing that
car stuff,
unless I absolutely have to.
grass stuff,
No.
snow removal.
Not doing it. No.
You know what I mean? Those labor intensive things, those non-negotiable. Y'all traditional when it comes to that. But all the sexy shit, that's the stuff y'all want. Y'all want to take all stuff because it's sexy. But all the dirty stuff, you don't want that. Plumbing, y'all ain't trying to touch it.
I'm sorry. First of all, plumbing. Let's call somebody who know what they doing.
I was just about to say.
Let's start there.
If they know how to do it. This toilet stopped up, you ain't trying to touch that. Where's all this feminism?
But wait,
I don't need you to touch it either.
Right, well, why do you? I'm not even telling you have
Where
to.
this plumbers at?
Oh, they're out there.
They out there.
They're out there. They're actually,
They
they're
are
actually
there.
some women-owned businesses.
Hold on, let me tell you something.
They
Let me-
got whole like little
Let me-
car auto
Yes, that's
detailing
right. Stop.
run by women.
Diamond, you going
we
too
have
far.
women doing landscaping and
Everything.
everything else. Like, come on now.
I'm talking about.
You know what? You can't stand. I'm not. I'm not about to do this.
Look,
We are not.
Aside of shade,
See, he needs to go.
Aside
he
of shade
do.
does not own
No,
the rights to
no, we
run
don't.
Diamond's
We don't.
mouth.
But at
The views and opinions expressed by Diamond do not reflect
hear
those
what
of a
he's
side of
saying
shade.
about,
Disclaimer,
about
exactly.
the traditions and how, you know, and I think we all, it's not, and by no means am I saying this is just men.
Right.
Because there are some women who have grown up in households where the man did all the cooking, he did the shopping, he did all the cleaning, and the woman had a different role. And so if you were used to that, and then you meet somebody who used to, wait a minute, I thought women did all this, or
That's right.
so it happens both ways.
That's
it's not
right.
like one of those things where it's, and I think at the end of the day, what we're saying is that do we really have to subject ourselves to following traditions
Right.
that really don't fit your
Right.
relationship?
Your relationship, yeah.
Yep.
I think that's really what
That's
it boils
really
down
what
to.
it boils down
Communicate
to.
your expectations at the
Communicate.
door.
And
if
know-
you
but know
cannot
them.
be with
You
the
gotta-
partner that you can be 100% honest with and tell them what you expect of them and vice versa,
Then what's
just
the point?
walk away.
Right.
It's not even worth. Don't,
And
let me do you a favor.
Right.
And
But
it
don't
goes
waste
back
your
to
time.
knowing your expectations, knowing
do
your
have to know that.
standards,
Yeah.
knowing what you want, when
your
you
work.
want. And the older that you get and the more time that you have by yourself, you can figure those things out. So that way when somebody comes, you don't need an online dating service to tell you
Right.
whether
That
you
you
should
need to be paying
that
half
you
the
should be
bill.
paying half the bill or
Right.
not.
Right. And you do what
you
works
show
for you.
you show how. I went on a date not too long ago and showed up and said, I will pay because I knew the person was relocating. I knew their situation. The person darn near fell over. And I was saying, I'm not saying I'm going to do this all the time,
Right.
but I understand.
Hello, right, be clear.
Oh, well, let's be clear.
Right.
I understand what your situation is, so I'm willing to do it this
Right.
time. And we had a conversation about,
Right.
okay, well, this is this and this is that, and then so
Right. Yeah. And
you just gotta be clear.
So that's what we're saying.
That's
Be
what we're
clear
saying.
about your expectations,
and
I
know
think
who you
for-
are when you show up.
Exactly. And I think for people who are in marriages and have been married for some time, I think it's nothing wrong with reintroducing yourself to your spouse, your
Absolutely.
partner. And what that means is, no, you laugh, Diamond.
No, that's
but what I
people
say that
change
because
every 10
Know what you
years.
bring to the table.
but I'm
You're
saying
evolving.
One of
Right.
the things that I think that sometimes for married couples, especially if you've been married for some time, I'm talking about newlyweds, but when you've been married for some time, part of it, what gets comfortable is that you think you know everything about that person.
Yeah.
So when they do
Yeah.
do one change,
Yeah.
then it becomes, oh, oh my goodness, they doing all this, and it's
Yeah.
really not that.
Yeah.
It's just that you just haven't uncovered that part about that.
There
person
needs
yet.
to
And
be
that's
an
the beauty of
evaluation
it.
period. Like when you go to work, there's an evaluation period where it's what have you done this year and what have you learned? How have you grown in
Yep.
this position? And if you've grown in this position, then maybe we need to change your title and give you a new position. It's the same thing within your marriage. What have you learned this year? And if you're not growing, and especially in your relationship, let me do you a favor.
Right. Yes.
Stop.
Well, girl, I think we done said a lot.
And on that note,
And on that note,
Hello.
we will see y'all in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you for joining us today. And bundle up. It's cold outside. Yes, I'm here for it. So good night, everyone.
good night.
Night.
Yeah, every